Hey everybody, welcome to Car Stylist, digital tips and tricks and techniques for vehicle designers. This is tip number 5, Topology 2 block-in technique. Blocking or roughing in a model using Zbrush is awesome topology 2, and I mean awesome. And the reason why I am so focused on Zbrush lately is because every time I bring up Zbrush to another designer, they seem to get a little bit excited. More so than when I bring up tools like Maya or Modo or Alias or Photoshop. It opens up possibilities for exploration, finding new shapes and finding new forms, more so than any other software that I know, at least. So yeah, that's why ZBrush, that's why I'm looking at it so often. So without further ado, here we go. Okay, you want to start out with a good orthographic view, whether that is a side view or a top view, something to ground the model. I'm finding the best models are often started with a sense of where you're going first, even with these sketch models in ZBrush. So we're just going to do a quick side view. This is the end result of that quick sketch. So now then we take this to the next step. Okay, let's see if we can do this. So we've created a reference image and our application of choice, whether it was Photoshop, Sketchbook Pro, or even just an analog method and then scanned into the computer. But however you created that image, it's now time to get it into ZBrush to use as a reference in this topo blockout method that I'm going to show you. Now there's many ways of getting a reference image in ZBrush. You can use the draw menu and this draw menu and go to front, back, up, down, map the image to various planes. You can use the texture and go to image plane, or you can even use what is called the see-through method, where you can see what's going on your desktop. There's many methods. However, the one that I am going to show you is using a 3D plane and then mapping the image to that. And the reason why I'm showing you, it seems to work very well with this topo method. So I'm going to grab a 3D plane here, and I've got one already picked, and just drag it out on the screen. Then go ahead and press your T to put it into edit mode. You can go ahead and press Shift F to show the poly frame on that. Now change this to Poly Mesh 3D by clicking Make 3D up here in this menu. And so now it's a mesh that can be edited. And UVs can be also made for this plane, in which we will have to do in order to attach a texture map. So go ahead to your Z plugin here, UV Master, and unwrap this plane, or make UV map for it. Go ahead and click it, and now a UV map is made for this plane. And in order to show you that, all I have to simply do is go and flatten it, and you can see now UVs are made for that particular plane. I'll go ahead and unflatten it. And now we can attach that image to the image that we made in previous demos. In order to do that, I'm going to go ahead to texture map. Click this button here, navigate to the image that we just created, side view here, open it up. And so now that UV is created and attached to, or that image map is now attached to that 3D plane. Now we can proceed drawing out our 3D onto this plane. Okay, now this is the meat and potatoes of the method really, and that is using the topo tool to draw out your topology on the 3D plane and using the image as a reference. In order to do that, you can go to your B key, pick the topo tool, T and O, so you've got your topo tool. But using your topo tool, now you can simply just use that plane and that image and just draw out your topology directly on that 3D plane. Just going to go ahead and do this for the wheel. And maybe I'll do something like this for that end, this for that end. I am going to go ahead and draw something around here because I know this. Maybe I'll draw something like this. Maybe I'll do something like this. I'll do that. I'll bring this up like that. I'll draw this out like this. I'll draw this out like that. Maybe I'll put one here. This one I'm going to erase because I really don't need that. I don't need that either. For now at least. I could probably use it, but I'm going to also draw one right here. So I'm going to want that to go through like this. So the key is understanding your topology while it's flat. To do this and any other method, like in with any other tool at least, like Maya or Modo or something like that. There are methods of doing this, but I find that this is a very easy method for blocking out your topology with this tool. So once you've done that, you don't want to do the whole car on this flat plane. It's been my experience that it's better to do it in sections, begin in sections, like just panels. Like if I'm just going to do this rear end, I'll just go ahead and do this rear end panel. And that way it doesn't get too complex too fast. Once you've got like maybe a couple of panels to start off with, you can go ahead and then click on this plane. It'll take that topology and make these blocks across the center line. It's masked from that particular plane which you've drawn on. Go to your sub tool and say split unmasked points. And so now I have that plane and I have this. And now it's just a matter of forming those simple geometric blocks into your shape. I like doing that by going to my transform and your modifiers, I think, here. And I can now take and say, well, look, I want to only move in the Z. That'll allow me to push and pull the planes and form them without distorting the side view. So change this to my move to here. And then now I can pull this panel in order to shape what I need. And I know no matter what view I'm in, it's going to only move in Z, as you can see. I am going to mask that, as you can see here. Bring the other one back, unmask that, and now I can use my clip curve brush in order to order those polys. Clip curve here. And I can now go in and do something like this and do something like this to set up my wheel well perfectly without a whole lot of fuss or muss. Go back in here and change plan views. And I can do that with a plan views too. I'll show you in a minute. One of these things that was in a way so we can really see it, but you can see that my wheel wells, if I sight down, are perfect. I still have it on that Z constraint, so that's helping me out in some aspects. So now I can do the same thing with the fender line here. I'm just going to move this. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and pick this whole thing. This is a beautiful thing about some of the clip curve things, even in low poly. I'm going to just suck this all the way out. Maybe I'll just suck it all the way out here. And I can now take and model this fender. Model this fender line. Let's say we want something like this. I don't have a plan view here, but if I did, I would just follow the plan view line for that particular fender right? And coming down the front here, and we still know, which is cool, that that fender, because I have it on Z constraint, that is transform, modify, and Z, we know that it's still going to be okay in side view. That's our side view, see? So I can shape this to my heart content and know for sure that I am not distorting my side view. Of course, the plan views are changing, but not the side views. If I want the lines to be just perfect, I can use the clip curve brush by just picking points and going from there. So I'm going to do the same clip curve thing here. I'm just going to grab that and clip that all the way here. Then I am going to show you this method that I've used to control those lines. I'm going to grab just that edge here. Make sure just that edge is picked. Right? And then now I'm going to use a clip curve brush to pull that line where I need it. And of course the side view is going to remain the same, as you can see, but I've ordered the vertices just where I need them to go. It looks like I've actually picked another vertice that I didn't need to pull. That's easy enough to fix. Just bring it in this view and just pull it back out, because we know we want that to be sort of an air duct like that. And of course we can continue to adjust those as we need to. Now, of course, that this is not perfect, so I'm going to now turn off the Z constraint, and we'll just now move the vertices as you need them. You go one at a time, and you get your panels, various panels, and you're shaping them, keeping in mind the other. You don't want to get too far with one or two panels, by the way. You want to start adding more and more panels. Change it to this. Now I'm on this plane again, right? And maybe let's say I want to, let's say I'll just do this portion here. And in this one, I'm going to just go ahead and do the same thing. Click it, and now you can see the plane or the topology created. Okay, so now you've got your separate panels, and it's time to connect it. In order to do that, you need to first clone this particular layer. To do that, go over to the 2 palette here and click on clone. That'll create another tool in the tool list up here. Now go to your subtool list and append a Z-sphere. Append Z-sphere. Now that Z-sphere should appear, and it's here, right here. It's really, really small in the scene here. The next thing you need to do is click quit to get out of the edit mode for that Z-sphere. And so now you go down to your topology. Now the topology will not appear unless you have a Z-sphere up. And go to select topo. Find that clone that you just did, and that is the topology that I'll now be editing. I'll go here now to topology again and press edit. Now I'm in the position to add edge loops and bridges to this particular topology. To do that, click on the particular vertice by holding down Control and clicking that vertice. Now click on the opposite vertice in which you want to bridge to. Click down Control again and bridge to the opposite topology. Now once you have a quad here, 4 corners, that represents a face. Continue to do that with all the faces that you need to bridge and connect, like so. So I'll continue to bridge this together, like so. So of course you have to make sure that you have the same amount of vertices on one side of the bridge as you do on the other. The next thing you need to do is to go to adapt to skin, make sure the density is on 1, slide it over here, and say make adaptive skin. Now what that's done is put that particular topology that you've added to, that you've bridged, up in the to list. It's essentially made another subto or another to with its own subto. Just go ahead and click that, and as you can see, we've bridged the topology as needed. This is after the bridging is completed. All the bridging is completed and edge loops are added, surfaces are refined, pushed, pulled, and highlights corrected. You can see once it's subdivided, once the surface is subdivided, going through that process, you can get relatively good surfacing, as you can see here on this model. And with low polys, as you can do in Modo or Maya. It doesn't take that much. In fact, I like the use of the twos in Zbrush because it allows you to push and pull the vertices, even if they're low poly, in a more natural way. But it needs to be low poly, as I've said before in other videos, so that we can get it downstream to the traditional modelers and ISOM and Alias, so that we can then change them to NURBS and use them to create hard models and such. So I hope this helps. This is one method of producing a low poly topo, low poly rough out, and I'll be showing you more to come. Happy ZBrushing.